Hello folks, it is time to clean the tools, clean the saws after doing some jobs the last couple days. So I'm going to go one by one. I've got three different saws I need to clean off. First is this Troy-Bilt TB4216, it's 42 cc's, 16-inch bar. I picked this up for about 30 bucks. It's not a bad saw. Put a new chain on it. Seems to run pretty good. Actually, with the new chain from Rural King, it cuts really good too. So I prefer to clean all this stuff with air, so that's what I'm going to do. Might be a little bit noisy, but we can edit that out. All right, first thing I need to do is take this side cover off though. Problem solved. And pop our side cover off. That also takes your chain brake lever off as well. Oh my gosh, look at all those wood chips. Holy cow. Looks like it's oiling pretty good, so we don't have a problem there. Yeah, but all I do is grab my my air tool and blast away. Let's get these out of the way so they don't blow away though. Now really, I'm just trying to get the wood chips and stuff out, anything that's going to hold moisture. The oil and stuff, I'll leave that in there because it's not really a big problem. So we got to get behind your clutch as well. And make sure you get on the other side of the bar. And this one's pretty much done. Now we need to put our cover back on and adjust the bar, the chain tension. All right, make sure this is on correctly. There we go. Let's get our side cover back on. I'm also going to need I'll do it right now. I need to add some slack to the line. So we're going to turn it in the negative. There we go. That'll help seat this cover a little bit better. There's a pin that comes down here, and that pin moves the bar either in or out. Are we riding in the track? All right, there we go. Let's get our other nut here. You know what, I'm going to take these gloves off. I can't really work with these on. These are not the right kind of gloves. I typically prefer either the 5 or 7 mil nitrile gloves from Harbor Freight. The 9s are really good, but they get very hot. So the 5 millimeters will do for now. And if I'm going to have this, might as well have a couple of shop towels on hand. Just gonna put this in there a little. This is still relatively loose, so we can adjust the chain. Now, adjusting the chain, when I first started using, chainsaws not too long ago, I couldn't find, I like things down to a science, where this is the measurement you need to be. But I could not find a specific measurement that a chain should be tensioned to. Basically, what I found is it needs to have a little bit of slack in it, and you do like this test right here. You pull it down, and it should spring back up, which it doesn't. So this chain here is too loose. So we need to give it a little bit of positive movement here. So we're starting to get a little bit of spring. Want a little bit more though. There we go. It springs back up and it lays mostly flat against the bar. I'm going to give it just a teeny bit more though. Make sure it spins freely, which it does. Now that chain should not pop off, and it should be pretty good. I need to push this back on. Actually, it came, the side cover came down a little bit. That back nut wasn't tight. There we go. That's a little bit better. And see where we're at. Now let's take a look. That is actually a little bit too tight. So let me get my 13 millimeter, my other 13 millimeter socket back real quick. Let's loosen this up just a little bit. There we go. That should be good. This one honestly is a little bit finicky. Getting it tensioned correctly. That seems to be much better. And it springs back up. Actually, I think that's perfect. So let's tighten her up. This is actually a bad thing. Don't do this, because if I were to slip and cut my knuckles there, that would suck. All right. That is good to go. Spins freely. Saw is mostly clean. I like to clean all my stuff here when I'm done. Let me hit the work area real quick. I also want to check the air filter, see what kind of condition it's in. And you know what? There's a little bit of dust in here, so let's blast it out too. Go around everything first. I usually pop this off. You want to be a little bit careful that you don't blast a bunch of crap down there though. I'll put my thumb over the top. There we go. Yeah, you know what? Maybe it's the gasket material. It's got a little gasket here, but as you can see, the inside, like there's actually a good bit of gunk in here. I haven't noticed any issues with this saw running. It actually runs really well. But I'm going to wipe this out just in case. I pretty much cleaned out the gunk that was in there. So let's pop that back on. Make sure it's seated down nicely. Put our cover back on and tighten her up. I do really like this saw. It's easy to run, it's easy to start. It's relatively lightweight, it's not too heavy. It's a nice saw overall. Let's just check the fuel real quick. Looks like we got about a half tank, so we're good there. This is a 40-to-1, which also kind of sucks because all my other equipment is 50-to-1. Honestly, it's probably not that big of a deal to run 50-to-1 in there. Wow, I can't even get that loosened up. Need a pair of pliers. Just give it a nice little twist here. Leverage, that's all we needed. Okay, need more leverage. There we go. Yeah, it could use some bar oil, but I'm not going to be using this saw here in the immediate future, so I'm going to leave it where it's at. We'll tighten that back up. And we also need to start this. So we'll engage the chain brake there. Pull our choke, turn the switch to on, prime the fuel bulb here. There we go. It says 10 times, but you never really need to do that. And we should be good to go to give it a couple pulls. There we go. Starts up like a champ. I think the chain might still be a little bit on the loose end, but it's not too bad. Oh. There we go. Yeah, I mean that spins really freely. It's not too bad. I don't think that's gonna jump. That should actually be fine. So engage that chain brake one more time. I'm gonna give it just a quick little wipe down so it's clean. You know, oil on here is not a bad thing, but I don't like it to be so gunky that it's just caked in oil. I want it to be relatively clean. And that is looking pretty decent. My little tiny dog's on there too. All right, let's move on to the next saw. All right, so this is my cheap little top handle saw. I think I picked this up for $20 or $30. This is the Craftsman 2.0, which is actually a clone, basically, of a pull-in saw. Or it might be the other way around. It's got a 16-inch bar. There's also a red version of this that has a 14-inch bar. Looks almost exactly the same. This is a nice little saw. I do like it. Let me dust it off and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Alright, this one's a little bit on the dirty side. Alright, that's a little bit better from where it was. So, a couple things about this saw. It doesn't really have any safety features. So you'll notice this saw does not have a chain brake. This is just a handle with a little bit of a guard here to protect yourself. So hopefully you won't need that. But I've noticed from using this that it doesn't really, you know, it has enough power to hurt you, but it doesn't have like a crazy amount of power like it's going to be kicking out or kicking back on you, you know, all the time. Our chain might be a little on the loose side. It's not too bad there. It's definitely got some interesting design choices for it. So one of the things here, your cylinder head is about right here, and your gas tank runs right here, right? So if you were to take this side cover off, which this side cover is plastic, this cover is metal. You take this side cover off, it'll expose all that, and your gas tank here is fed through a line that goes up through the handle and then into the carb, which is right under here. Now I'm noticing I've got a loose screw that must have jiggled loose while I was running it. So tighten that back up. When I got this saw, it was like kind of running, but running really bad. The problem was that the fuel line wasn't actually hooked up here. So really it was just a case where I had to run some new fuel line from the carb up here back to the fuel tank. And then you have to feed it through the handle, which is a real pain in the ass. You got to take this cover off here, take this cover off, and then you can feed that up through. I don't know exactly what the oil gas ratio is. It doesn't say anywhere on the saw, so I've just been putting in the 50-to-1 that the Stiehls have been running on, and that seems to be doing it. I take a little bit of extra oil and put it in the tank and then give it a shake just in case. I feel like it's better to run a little extra than it is to run a little bit less, and I haven't really had too many issues with it. I will say I think the idle needs adjusted because every once in a while it'll want to die. It is kind of a little bit of a pain to get started because it does not have a fuel primer bulb. So you just turn the choke on. You got a little switch here that says start or stop. Put it on start, and then you just pull and you hope it starts. So we'll give it a try here. And the nice thing is you can take a look at the line through the handle. I can see that there is fuel in there, so it is pulling fuel to the carb. I might give it a little bit more on the throttle. Turn our choke off. Definitely a loud saw, but you know what? For the weight, yes, it doesn't have a chain brake, but for the weight, this thing is really easy to handle. I think it's a very unintimidating saw. It does kind of get bogged down a little bit in harder woods, but if you just use it, smart, just let the chain do the work, it doesn't have any problems. I think the biggest stuff I've cut with this is probably about 12 inches. You could do more than that, but I don't know, you don't really need to. If you're going to be doing something bigger than that, you really should just be using a bigger saw. I would like to put a slightly smaller blade on it, probably a 14-inch blade or even a 12-inch blade, but for now, let's leave this on. One thing I hate about this saw is how you actually adjust the chain slack. So you loosen up the nut here, like normal, and you just have this screw, which is always kind of just jiggly and dangly and all that stuff. It feels like it's not connected to anything. It is, but it's really a pain in the ass. There we go. Now it's got some tension on it. Anyways, the process to adjust this chain is a pain in the ass. Other than that, the saw is great. I'm really looking forward to getting the 14-inch version though. I'd like to have that saw. But yeah, that's the Craftsman 2.0. I've got one more saw we need to clear up. And that would be my main saw, which is a Stihl MS261C. This saw is awesome. It cuts through anything. It's got a 20-inch bar on it. This is my go-to. Now, a couple cool things about the 261C, and this is the reason that a lot of people really like this saw, is the power to weight ratio. So it is I believe a 50 some odd cc saw, displacement 50 cc's. Okay, yeah, 50 cc saw, but it produces 4 horsepower and it only weighs 10.8 pounds. That power to weight ratio is where this thing really shines, because these other two saws produce probably half the horsepower and they weigh probably a pound or two more. It also has a compression release. I don't find that I actually ever use it. It could make it a little bit easier, but I've got the arm pull that I don't necessarily need the compression release. The first thing we're going to do is pop our bar off on the side. I need to get my scratch. There we go. And I will be needing here pretty soon to sharpen this chain. I believe these are captive nuts. They are captive, which means they're not going to come out all the way. You can leave them there. Get the side cover off, which I believe this is a magnesium. Yeah, this is a magnesium side cover. It feels like it could be plastic because of the weight, but it's magnesium, and that's really where they save a lot of weight. So it's got a little bit of gunk in there. It's not too bad though. But let's get to blasting. Alright, got the dry stuff out. Now we'll just give it a wipe. And of course I'm getting filthy doing this, but you gotta keep your equipment clean. It's also why I usually don't allow people to borrow my equipment, is because if they're not gonna do this when they're done, you know, probably not gonna let them use it. Alright, that is looking a bit better. There we go. Blast it a little bit more here. One thing that's going to happen when you do this is you're going to get filthy. You're going to get this stuff all over your arms and your face and anything that's around you. So best to do it outside. All right. I do want to take the bar off. So we'll go ahead and pull this out. Pull our chain off. There we go. Set that aside and start blasting again. Wow, look at this. Look at this caked on stuff. Yeah. I was getting into some dirty wood here recently, so that's another reason why it really needs cleaned. This stuff is just gross. Gross, gross, gross. Alright, now we've blown it for a minute. We gotta wipe her down. Cleaning the gunk off you can, make sure it's nice and clean. You don't have to get all the oil and stuff off because it's going to get back in there anyways, and it's kind of good for preventing corrosion. I just want to make sure I get all the chips and crap out. And really, it's probably not a bad idea to grab a little nylon brush and do some of the wiping or some of the cleaning on some of this stuff. You know, don't use a metal brush like a brass or anything like that, but definitely a nylon brush, not a big deal. There we go. You know what I'm actually going to do is get a little bit of cleaner for this. Just a light degreaser. This is just a a basic degreaser, probably from Advance Auto or something like that. There we go. Just need a little bit of liquid to get this crap off. There we go, and this is looking quite nice. quite a bit nicer than it was, at least. Some of the stuff will just get so caked in, there's not a whole lot you can do to get it out. So, you know, while I'm a little bit anal about keeping this thing clean, especially for as much as this saw cost, you know, you don't have to spend all day, you know, wiping it down and polishing it, because after all, it is just going to get dirty again. So the main thing is just get as much gunk out as you can, and that's probably good enough. All right, so now let's wipe down this blade a little bit, or this bar. Heard some people say they don't really like the graphics on the light bar, like they think it's unprofessional, but honestly, I mean, who really cares? It's just a bar. There we go. There's not a ton you can do about keeping the bar clean, to be honest. It's just gonna get dirty. Let's grab one more towel here. Clean our area. There we go. And now we can really just start reassembling. I think there are folks that will clean their chain as well, but in this case, I don't think it's super necessary. The chain's not very dirty, but I will blow it off just for the heck of it. There we go. All right, now we go in the reverse. Make sure our chain's pointing in the right direction, which is this direction. There we go. We'll check the air filter here in a minute, but not just yet. I really love that the sprocket is here on the outside versus one that's on the inside. There we go. There we go. Back on. Get our side cover on, which again does have captive nuts, so you don't have to fight with it at all. There we go. We're gonna go just to snug it up a tiny bit. There we go. Now, I need to loosen that a teeny bit. Now we can adjust our chain. That's too tight, too loose, of course. Let's see where we're at. Too loose. Of course, I had it backed all the way out, so that's to be expected. There we go. Maybe, no, that's pretty good. It's got a nice little snap to it. Comes all the way out basically. And it still spins freely. Yep, I think that's good. All right, let's tighten her up. A lot of times tightening it up will actually add a teeny bit more tightness to your chain as well. Yeah, that's good, I think. All right, engage our chain brake. And let's start her up. So to start this saw, you're actually going to hold the safety here and the throttle together, and you're going to press down on this lever. That will get it into the starting position, which is the little triangle. But first, before I forget, let's check our air filter. I love that this has the quick, the quick release, quick remove here. It's just these 4 nuts or screws. Oh, actually, it's only 3, I think. Yep. Oh yeah, we got a little bit of dust down here too, so let's clean that out. I do want to clean the air filter off a little bit, so we're going to unscrew this. Be careful not to blow anything in there. I will blow out the air filter just to keep it clean. There we go. All right. Something that's kind of neat about this saw and some of the bigger saws, the professional saws, is they have winter versions that apparently have heated handles. On the 261CM and probably the other ones, there's a little tab here that's got a little picture of a snowflake. I believe this is to allow probably extra heat to come in here so it can pull warm air from the engine. But I don't actually know, to be honest. It's got a, if I can hold on to it, it's got a little sun and a little, so summer and winter, you can use it in both, I guess. That's interesting. I never really saw that, to be honest. So in sunny weather, in the summer, you put it in here. This way, there we go. And it blocks it off. In the winter, I guess you pull it out, and that will allow warm air into the air box. So I thought maybe at first this was for the heated handle, but I don't think that's the case, unless the handle somehow circulates air from the air box. But I don't think that's the case. On some of these bigger saws, the newer ones, you will again have the compression release button here. There was some dust on here, got that cleaned out. Everything in here is looking good now. So we're going to put this back on. And by the way, this is my first professional saw that I've ever owned. Actually, all of these that you've seen are the first saws that I have ever owned. I only just got into it, I don't know, not even a couple months ago. I just saw a good deal and I thought, you know what, my parents have trees that need cut down and cut up, so you know, I got the time. Let's start learning a new thing. And that's what I did. So there we go. Now let's get her started. Chain brake is still on. So we'll engage the choke. Check the fuel first, I guess. We get a little bit in there, and it's a 50-to-1 mix. We got a little bit in there though, so I'm going to leave that there. Check the bar oil. We should have some left in here because I filled it up. It's maybe a third of the way full, so we'll leave that there for now. And let's go ahead and start her up. This one does have a lot more compression, so I got to hold it still while I pull. Turn it off, flip that switch up to the off position, and you're good to go. When you have it in this starting position, it's going to engage the throttle a little bit. So as you could see there in the beginning, the revs were higher. Once you give it throttle, you'll see the switch. It goes to the run position, and that stops that. So that's all there is to it. The one thing you got to make sure, and I've seen this happen many times on YouTube, never be trying to run this saw when the chain brake is on. Is it on now? It is on. Never try to run this saw with the chain brake on, because what that's going to do is burn up your clutch, and it can happen quick. It can happen very quick, so don't do that. But that's all there is to it. Very nice and easy saw to use. If you use the compression release, once you start it, the button will pop back out. I don't really ever use it. It does make it easier to pull though. As you can see there, it popped back out, so that is nice. But it does make it a lot easier to pull. If you don't have a really strong arm and you just want to use the compression release, go ahead and do that. But now I got all the equipment cleaned up, so that's all there is to it. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll have to get some more videos out of me actually using these things and cutting up some wood, but that'll be coming. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one.